Chego Shayam Sanaha Bitlin Shlo Ashin Bashichin Ado Torhe Lini Dashichido Betani Dashinale Ado Yat my focus this evening, for those of you that are going to connect, are connected, or are going to be connecting, it's really more of an introduction, but as well as an opportunity to sort of gain a new thought. Oh, you bahane. Oh, you e hane sella. Bigit ndazla. Bahane egi dene. Even a one word, one song, there's a long history. There's a long root history of it. So with the time we have tonight, it's really more to open thought, what we're going to share. Although it's going to be an opportunity, again, like I said, for us to continue this learning, the opportunity to share. So maintaining our Dine language is what was shared as by the hosts to be able to present on. Although I'll explain more really about our focus this evening as we're gonna, you can say, sort of unravel what we're learning. So I want to start off with this picture first. Joy, it's just thinking about it. Our language, the Bizaad, even the net culture. What is culture? The knowledge, the history, identity, as well as the way of life. This is what it is. This is what we know as well. But for those of you, maybe once in a while, that's it, our children, maybe you'll get a chance to sort of like discover maybe, and as well as reinforce what the ne thinking, the ne values, what that is. And one simple value, although one practice, is this picture here. Our grandmother, or maybe our daughter here, she's standing to the sun in the sunrise. We call this sunrise thinking, a sunrise, like an assertive thinking, an exercise too. It's a practice. Once upon a time, I remember seeing this. I would hear my grandmother, she would go outside. She would be standing way to the east, her eastern side of the home, with her cornmeal in her hand, and then she would be like, I could hear her talking. So with this thinking today, what again, in how she would engage in this in the morning, and then as well in the evening. Le na holtsui bigije without yi na daltsui. We call this today, I think, more of a wellness platform. So it's the sheep a yo sheep the so ye haulne. So if it's ado, it's um a wellness a functioning too. You could say there's indicators right here, the validity of it, the practice of it. It's self-worth, being able to stand and to rise and to express, to be able to say, to say that I want to be happy, I'm going to be happy. This is how I'm going to be happy today. This take care of me, who I am. So there's a value, is self-worth, and then self-awareness to be able to maybe express her thoughts, what to express her feelings, to be able to share that, those challenges, to rise, to find that sort of like safety, and then to be mindful too. She would say, all of my children are grandchildren. So being mindful, being aware of the challenges, being aware of the solutions. So this is a wellness platform. And then self-talk. Um, like that word what is what words, how she expresses her thoughts and her feelings, but as well how she sort of that language, how it engages and endures, and then also copes and how it heals. So using her words, so I wanted to show this sort of a wellness, sort of a Dine thinking perspective, Dine learning. So talking about how to maintain our Dine language and focusing today for all of us, just sort of a insight, you could say. So who I am, although I today I flew into Phoenix, so I'm actually connecting to you from there, but I live just east of Albuquerque. There's a mountain, so it's my family originally from my father is originally from a place called Tizaspas. Through our connections and how important culture, whether it's integrative care, and then as well as how culture matters, the wellness merits of it. That's been sort of an important part of my work and really sharing that. So making these connections and being open to sharing as well. And here's a little bit more of sort of my bio. I always like to say I kind of Forrest Gump my way around. I guess I fall into something and something different, something important. One of the work that I do currently with New Mexico, the Children, Youth, and Family Department, the Juvenile Justice Services. So really connecting to our young people who have been either committed or adjudicated to the legal system. So making sure that they are prepared, that they are cared for as well. So that's as a lead contractor for them, So trying to make those connections. So here's a brain teaser. I call it a cultural brain teaser. And see if you can get this and try to wrap your brain around this. There's no such thing as Thursday. So again, from a cultural perspective, or from a cultural lens, you can say, or we can say, there's no such thing as Thursday. But to us today, Thursday has a feeling. Maybe for us today, Thursday has a sort of a rule. The day Thursday also has a kind of like a um, like, it has power. It can make us think, I guess. Even Friday. So there's no such thing as Friday. And for individuals like who are in recovery, let's say from substances, they're taught this, to think that, you know, um, you take it one day at a time. It's about being moment to moment. So there's no such thing as sort of looking at it from, I guess this would be a decolonizing thought. So in other words, from our Dine thinking, every day is a new opportunity for growth and change. So for example, this morning, we saw our grandmother start her day, and then here this far along, in the sunset, those priorities, that thinking, that sort of transition home, like a Friday, I guess, here. And then at night, so it would be like a nighttime activities, nighttime transition, be like the weekend, I guess, relaxation. And then tomorrow morning again, a new day. So sometimes I guess decolonizing ourselves really is, um, you know, it's kind of a way of thinking or how we see it. So it's my cultural brain teaser for the day. So the language, or maintaining our Dine language, it's part of what we call Dine forward thinking. So joy atidlaj joy lego as o dal ben sa kesigi ado ni khalchene joy ya, there's a new way of learning culture and language, just like our elders. So here's a picture. There's like a seed maybe being planted here, a new thought, an integrative thought. One of our tribal colleges was being planted here. So how we were going to sort of integrate these ideas and thoughts together with all the different changes that we all are experiencing, but to focus and even maintain those values, sort of engaging in a sort of like a new way of thinking. So we call it Atillaj and Sakis. So part of this presentation and sharing, I say it's sort of interpretive. To sort of interpret it. And then also part of this presentation today would be sort of providing what they call shared meanings and values. So sort of all of us have our own understanding and values. So sort of bringing this together as one sort of one, um, I would say like, what I'm able to share with you. Although, oh, Yoshi, there's all kinds of interpretations, many kind of meanings. So, ya hathalji bahannetle. Although a hajonge kaho jo e bahannetle. Although na ye kako ajibahanne. So there's many different perspectives. So tonight really, again, is to provide sort of maybe new thought, but also I would say present those shared meanings and values, and then just to say add on um, to 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 ours. And then feel free, um, to share your thoughts in chat, and then as well, um, we say disclosure. Um, there might be some differences of what you might hear. So, and then our focus tonight too, and as we're going to talk about language, the ne Bizaad, I think it's really important to understand first why it's important, what the value of language to us is, and then how this is part of our identity. And then we say how we think, our intelligence. This to hadishi to opalo da dalya yizadgi. They were a special placement and even creation of our language. So part of this as well for all of us is wellness, this focus that it's the active pursuit. So wellness is the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. We would say, so we're going to engage in that, listening, um, engaging our thoughts, to be able to even make time this evening. Most of you have made time to be here. And then as well, even if you're going to listen in later as a recording, you're going to make time to listen. So this is all part of the active pursuit, something in search of something good for ourselves. So to benefit our well-being, to benefit our wellness. So to be able to sort of exercise, our ability to think and tend to even engage in our culture, our knowledge. So here's some pictures of my definition of wellness. It's an everyday activity. The first thing in the morning, like the sunrise, sort of thinking it, sort of planning it, and sort of doing it, and then being aware of it. And then the brain, I would say, using our balance, so mental and emotional experiences. So being able to focus thinking as well as rational thinking, being able to plan too. And then the heart. So putting, it's important to us. So wellness is a priority, sort of like embracing sort of that needed change. So taking care of yourself. Atahajan zingo. So it's the heart, compassion. And then it's a walk. I think wellness for all of us is how you engage in it. And that word, it's your um, I guess individual sovereignty, to be able to have that freedom to take care, to grow, to change, but basically to make those choices. Sometimes wellness, if the family has their, struggles, and sometimes it's going to have to be up to you, or sometimes up to me, how you engage in that to take care of yourself. So establish sort of this understanding. So using this thinking of mental wellness, or what we call the dimensions of wellness, so more from a cultural, like thinking, feeling, functioning, and connecting. So I hope to sort of engage in that as part of this sharing tonight, this evening. And then as well, like I always say, like there's always something to be done. So there's work somewhere. So it's maintaining sort of the many dimensions of our identity. So we say our knowledge and understanding sort of like was multi-dimensional like this. The prayer, the value. So the zindagi, it follows sort of this dimension, or this wheel, wellness wheel, in order to sort of say to function, to sort of and to build. So this is another way of, I guess, looking at a wellness will, is those responsibilities and priorities that we have every day. There's always something to do, something that we all hold as important, a priority. So the first word, so Navajo word of the day, get. Everybody can repeat, say get. I guess you have to say it like you mean it too. Get. Get. Jo isa de gis konfla. Ayo bot zil. This word has a value. I think most of us here have heard it at some point, or maybe one point or another, somewhere. Somebody said this word, get. To listen, as well as to pay attention, maybe in a way to look within yourself. Get. I call this an educational word too. So a word that comes from a place, like a cradle board. So it's on it. If you're like a cradle board, eyes and ears, that's it, yeah, to sit quietly, just to observe, to listen, to look. Those are the only two things you're thinking, even your breathing, that is actually moving. Then the rest of your body sort of strapped into the cradle board. The net learning, the net education. Without out of a without So there's a word get which tells us to look, sort of like listen, pay attention. So all this distraction, all this today's movement, all this technology, if you say this word like get, it's more like a wellness word today, to like be mindful, even to breathe, like stop and pay attention to your breath. So we're gonna first, I guess, use this word get. There's a mountain. There's a mountain way over there. We call it Saltzich. Saltzich. Joy hatso iki, your tongue. So ziz, like the strength of your tongue, of your words. E olya nihit ziz. Jo nahat ziz. Even planning leadership mountain, communication mountain. So talking about the Bizaad, our language, our words, I would say they weren't just made up, or even like we see English sort of fragmented, all different kinds of meanings, swag, like there's even LOL. That's a new word. So looking at this picture, our strength of our words. So I guess the scariest thing I could search and Google of a giant, because there's where this picture was taken, they call it Zilkeshgon, or Toes Mountain, and has a story. If you drive at the base of this mountain, like near Grant, New Mexico, you'll see all of that blood, we would say. They would say, look, you could see it. So there's a story queb Hanne Salah ya na ye nezgane tobajishine. The twin warriors story, their first battle, you could say, when they achieve, when they were mentored, when they matured, when they were like on this journey without in bahan did it, it's called grants. So the warrior and protection, the first battle the twin warriors went was this great giant. And even to make a long story short, because of time, how they first fighting with words. Fighting, intimidating, like out, like sort of like outwitting each other. The giant and the monster slayer. And at some point, that giant stood up. And Nayet is gonna say, Yaha, he says. Nayet is gonna Ashit, oh, I had Zitcho, Daiche is Zitchin, get it so. Was old out the shish. Oh, she had it, Edgy in the Haggit. Oh, she, Yaha, Iya, Hallelujah, yeah, yeah. Iya, Hallelujah, yeah, yeah. Iya, Ado Okwe, sin, this fear, something greater, something even bigger, scarier. Sin Hazli, na ye is Sinjin, na ye nizgane, nishle, he says. Lived asin jada. That fear became a protection song. I always say like a sense of awareness. So just thinking in hizadiki, when we say the maintaining our the language, we call this the first sound of life. Hizad, our first language. Eti na ye so it na ye sad. So like fear or sadness, anger, laziness, resentments. Maybe that's our meaning today. When we say cry, I'm not sure if anyone here has cried lately, but how did you feel when you cried? I guess, what was the experience like for you? We would call this our first cry, our first word language. Although this is our the second sound of life. Oh, there's a children's song, eh, eh, like the sound of cry. Eh, hello, hey, young, hello, hey, young, yeah, like that cry. So they said the second sound of life. AD, the twin warrior. So na ye nezgane adot chene. It's like love, happiness, peace, movement, appreciation. We would say that's how our language is structured. Hat'a alch-indazlah olye alch-sallah, they would say. So how they connect, how they relate to one another, our language. Hat'a ibahanne. So when we say a twin warrior, I guess you can like connect it. There's a relationship. So fear, so the opposite, salah. So the opposite would be love. Even the opposite of sadness, happiness, anger, peace, laziness, movement, resentments, and appreciation. Joy na yet is gonna also they say. So when we engage with using the language, a healing language, our words, they sort of use this structure without uh, there's the comfort words, there's protection words, there's endearment, there's words of happiness and love. So we would say toba kyo tobo hotel nego bebitkhaya hot etol bekan chego bethahinako. So we use words like that. So the neh bizadigi. So what this one way of learning this, I guess to reinforce the learning is getting to know our behaviors. So so there's a nature element to all of us. We're I guess, a human being. So they call it passive behavior, sort of running away from our problems, no matter how big, like a giant. So here's a rabbit. It's basically exists just to run. Just run away into the rabbit hole, hide when you sense fear. And then aggressive, so it just to intimidate, to hurt, when it's hurt, when it's afraid. And then our grandma here, we call assertive behavior, is standing up, doing the right thing for yourself and others, taking care of yourself and others. We call this getting to know our behaviors, this wellness platform. So I mentioned our language, the neh Bizaad, part of it is as we're learning sort of a wellness focus. So the neh Bizaad, our language, it's our identity, meaning like you're from the beginning of our creation, we would say like in Nihanelia, like a gift, uh, a footprint, or maybe a so when we speak our language on his it's our identity. So an example, the word for fear, it has a place, a time, a story. Even that word I mentioned, get earlier, get show. There's a story about changing woman. She would splash water on her little boys, the twins when they were down now. And when the giant, they were little boys then, they were more vulnerable and they could be hurt. So to try to get their attention, call them by their name, or hey, look over here, they would alert the giant. Just quiet. She would splash water on them. And while they were playing across the room, as soon as they felt water touch their, they would run and hide. They would say, crawl underneath her moccasin. So again, our identity, they would say, where the root of our words, our language, and it's part of what this we call like earth person intelligence. It's gonna be legend, like intelligence, even into the sky, to the mountains within. Nantin ado edertina so there's that ability when we speak our language that there's a intelligence form, I guess. You can almost like say you bring that out of us ourselves. So looking at English language, I always say like, I don't know, I look around, I say like TikTok language. What's the language in it? So when we say it has that level of intelligence. Um, that's it. So we're sharing one word, that's it, tonight, but we call it language identity. Called a basis. There's you without a language that exists, a root word in this thinking, or discipline, or knowledge, or a foundational word. Hashte, that word, hashte, somebody write in chat what that means to you in English. How would you interpret the meaning of that? Hashte, 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 Hasht e. Hasht e na ne. Hasht e na nesha. Anyone, everyone getting ready? Yeah. Like get prepared, right? Hasht e ne. Hasht e na yasha. Hasht e na yasha. Preparation. Hasht e zasha. Hasht e za. So even that word has a deep meaning, part of our identity. It's like a healing collective. Hasht e sad. Hasht e they would say too. What does the word mean? Sha. Trying. Bansis cash. I'm trying to talk. We all tried. Trying to tell you. So that word hasht and almost sound alike, but have different meaning. One elder, yeah, shajeko, ashanet, shajeko, ashin hit the net low, ashin hit the net lean there. He told me that word. Oh, she opened indeed, he says. Bizaad, how does she need no? This word trying, we're so used to saying it, like living it. I don't know where it came from. So he said, let me look in our identity history. He says, ma'i Bizaad etchen. He says, saw that word. There's a story, he says. So the value, identity, language identity. So again, thinking of wellness, movement, preparation, endurance. Although Sadigi, there's this language identity, the language. From the cornfield language. So even the arrowhead language, the language from nature, birds, there's a language shared. So there's they call it shad. They are the Kedilyechen, the sad. Chanako, they would say like Zilte sad, Zilnant they would use, you could hear that word. Iwa used to be in one of our old words, the word, the nesad. Iwa. it met jene, she yaje she we iwa, iwa, yaje shishnila, yaje shishni, ye, neyo, iwa, yaje shishnila, yaje shishni. So there's a language from our cornfield. Hajoje Sad, da kehte Sad. Oh, there's andaj ja. So to make a long story short, so we're learning some of these words, like we call it around the fire in the home. So within the mountain, sort of like they call wellness words. Atehani, self-identity. Atahudilzin, self-respect. Atahaya, self-care. And then atahahasin, protection of self. So when we speak our language, or when we use our Dine language, anihizadigi, it has these indicators, I guess, wellness, and as well as knowledge, the meaning and the value in it, in the songs. So always say like self-identity builds self-respect. Self-respect guides or what we call self-care. And then self-care creates or that protection of yourself. And that's what resiliency is. So tok o sleep. So it kosigi job it's other ya bijit has legion. It has a name. Also, we say die Chifetzi, Abalone Mountain. When we say Z, it's to us, it's our strength. What you had it, or like so na Z bikahojot Z joy hosa. So Bahaneko, they have the story of they call it like Ika. There go Ika. Movement. Even we call it the journey home. Le hot ne ko Ika bigiche. They said one time, Ishi are called guardians and protectors. Hashche yashche hashche wand. Yoshke astzada. All the guardians are protectors, ancestors said we're going to go to our home place. So you're going to see us in your inside in a sand painting. So there's the language learning that I think is rarely shared with that, is that our words are their words. They would say, diyin dene, sa ye hatas ze, konsad hazlinchene, meaning in our stories, like what they shared and what they said, that became our language or songs. When you go to our Dine Cultural Library or Dine Cultural database, like a Hatal or a Hajoj, you will hear that language, those words in there in those songs. Again, our words or their words. Like like when we another like example is like Hajoj Nahataho one, our leadership home songs. When we built the structure of the first Hogan, somewhere midway in the song, Andajja, he said, he's looked at the home that we created, the Nazdan, Zistan, Twistan, Chilnatastan, Beholwanta. You know how to no? She yazish away no see. He said, she yajiru, means it's right, grandson, daughter, you built this home right. So that conversation in that story became a song. Became a word. It's like that. He said, "Ne hostandi ya behowanat hotelade sinistandi." We call it shared language. The Bizaad is a shared language. So the story of our Gish, so Issa Bindasja Nahata Nihikish Hunesh Gishta Ado Nihikish Nata Dak Gish. Lifeway tools, the purpose, nourishment, and continuity. That's that story where Doko Sleed Bahanesh. Nihit not it's a historical, I call it a gathering of medicine, a gathering of words and here knowledge, a collection. So wellness to well-being. An elder, he said this, a grandpa said this one time in Navajo, the net Bizaad, but as this translated, it says, once you focus on your gifts instead of your problems, your whole perspective will change and you will see blessings everywhere. So just thinking about the twin warriors, that balance, thinking about our language words, sort of like a new perspective, a new way of learning. So I know we're kind of going over, I'm not sure about the time, decolonizing talked about the cultural brain teaser earlier. There's no such thing as time or minute. So
we're scheduled up to 6:30 this evening, but if there's questions, we can entertain that too as well.
Okay. Ni ya so dina. The chin na. Okay, so here's some strategies and focus.
Hola, mi nombre es Dad.
Here's some strategies and focus when learning the net language. Just practice with anyone, everyone. So as much as you can, just say 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, but just practice. Whenever my mom and dad or my uncles, my aunts, they're older than me, whenever I talk with them, I try to speak Navajo, the Bizaad. And then as well, and then I said, home learning, learn it at home. Ask your mom, uncles. So here's some pictures of my mother and my great-grandmother. So what they learned, I always say like their language. Ibizaadigi. It's a different kind of the ne Bizaad. Ayo o ne sad. Ashine. That's what my mother spoke. My grandmother spoke. They say, indeed, Dashi Yajud, she would say. Lodge and ye, Lana, or Anin, oh, they would tell me, or Halle Ben. So that's my grandmother. Ibzad. Chido Lish. I'm gonna go ahead and put a comma here.